that's actually one of the things I did want to say on this podcast was if there is any licensed journeyman out there with residential new build and renovation experience, we'd love to get resumes for that.
Welcome, please welcome
to another episode of the Tools of the Trade podcast, your #1 construction industry resource. Hear conversations with industry professionals to get the tools, stories, and advice that you need to set your career on fire. You're now streaming the Tools of the Trade podcast.
Hey guys, before I introduce today's guest, I wanted to introduce the presenting partner of the Tools of the Trade monthly Toolbox Talks, the Canadian Apprenticeship Forum. And the reason why the CAF excites me so much and why I think this partnership is so important right now is because apprenticeship is not something that you can just do haphazardly. Like most things that require skilled training and require people to become engaged and interested in, it requires a lot of research and development to understand why people are interested, why they're not interested, how we can better support our apprentices, and how we can build the programs out to ensure success. And that's where the CAF comes in. So the CAF is a national not-for-profit organization working with apprenticeship stakeholders in all regions of Canada. CAF members are apprenticeship champions, practitioners, and trainers committed to apprentice success. And an idea of an apprenticeship champion could be an organization that has an amazing apprenticeship program. They believe that Canada's world-class apprenticeship system can only get better when we understand what is working, collaborate to address barriers, and connect with tomorrow's skilled workforce. The CAF advocates for a sustainable Canadian apprenticeship system which contributes to economic growth. By adding their voice to the advocacy efforts of their members, they help ensure apprenticeship is a focus of government policy and included in political party platforms. And that's a bit of a tongue twister right there. CAF members support research and activities not viable through project funding. Access to member-only reports and resources, preferred attendance at in-person events, and insights from the Apprentices in Canada e-panel are just some of the value members receive in return. They are consistently monitoring member engagement, making adjustments to member benefits to increase value, and now member-driven activities and reports make up more than half of all of their resources. If you would like to tap into this extensive national network, download online research reports, and access helpful resources, become a Canadian Apprenticeship Forum member today at CAF-FCA.org. That's CAF-FCA.org. What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning into episode number 4 of the Tools of the Trade monthly Toolbox Talk. I'm your host, Colin Toop, and if you haven't listened to this podcast segment before, it's essentially a spin-off of the regular long-form podcast that I typically produce and release. And the reason why I created this segment is to help connect more demographics of the industry together by having short, current, day-in-the-life conversations with everyone, such as apprentices, journey persons, educators, executives, organizations, and really everyone in between. Shorter episodes I find are easier to consume, and the conversations are designed to give others a glimpse into the life of someone that may be in their future shoes or is in their current shoes while asking the tough questions around apprenticeship and diversity that we need to answer in order for the industry to progress. These conversations are meant to help paint that picture of construction through the lens of the guest, and it's meant to help change the optics of the industry. And because I want to provide as much value as I possibly can to you guys, I will be asking your questions live on these episodes. So head over to my Instagram account, Tools Podcast, follow me, and check out one of my last IGTV videos where I speak about this opportunity. And what I'm going to be doing is I will be posting consistently and constantly throughout the week prior to the guest coming on in my story with their role, their business and trade type, and a question box. And you can throw your question in that question box. You can send me a direct message, or you can comment below an image on my page. And what I'm going to do is compile all of those questions, and I'm going to be asking them if I have time to get to all of them. And when I get the answers, I'm going to be chopping up that audio in the form of a soundbite. And if you like, I'll tag you back. If you want to remain anonymous, that's totally cool. So let's get some fun, tough, and interesting questions answered by these amazing individuals. This week's guest is Natasha Egan, co-founder of TIB Electric. And TIB is a small-sized residential and commercial electrical contractor in Sarnia, Ontario, which is owned and operated by two women, Natasha and Tanya. They specialize in residential service work, renovations, and new construction, and are always looking for apprentice electricians, which they hand train in-house. I love that. And that has allowed them to cultivate an amazing culture. Natasha didn't actually come from the construction industry, so if you're thinking of making the switch, she has some great insights. So keep it locked. The Toolbox Talk with Natasha is coming up right now. Why don't you tell people who your company is, where you guys are located, and what exactly you're looking for?
Okay. Well, I'm Natasha, and I'm from TIB Electric. We're out of Sarnia, Ontario. We service Sarnia, Corunna, Brights Grove, the little towns around us. We've done jobs as close to London as Grand Bend. So we kind of expand a little bit. We are looking for licensed electricians, fully licensed electricians who have experience in new builds and renovations. That'd be very valuable to us right now, and we'd love some resumes.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, we'll pump that up for sure and try and see if we can flow some traffic your way and get some people interested. What types of work do you do specifically? Like what kind of do you specialize in? What do you guys like doing, and what's your culture like over there?
We're very tight knit because, when Tanya started the business, she had Matt as her apprentice. So he did his entire apprenticeship with her, and now he's a partner, and they each have an apprentice. Then we just brought on a new guy, and he has an apprentice, and they're just they're all very close. They all get along very well. We're very quality based, and I know a lot of companies say that, but we are very quality based. We are very proud of our work. We are a smaller company, so we back up what we do as well. I come from a completely different background as them. I come from a financial business sector. I'm not from the construction background at all. It was my sister, actually, is Tanya. She's the master electrician, and she was struggling with trying to manage the business while doing all the work. And I kind of just started helping her out a little bit and fell in love with it. I didn't realize that my bossiness would come in handy so much for something like this. And I love marketing. I love talking to people, and it just kind of was the perfect fit. And it's kind of allowed us to implement technology in a way that a lot of the other contractors that we've noticed haven't had a chance to use. Because there's me, and because I'm able to take the time and do all of that, we implement things that make our lives so much easier and make things faster and make things more efficient. Whereas another company, they just don't have the time because they're out there doing the work and they're running the business. So we have a huge advantage with that.
What kind of technologies are you guys running? I know that was a big thing when I had my company as well, is trying to find those key things. It's
actually really simple things. There was a lot of trial and error, and we're always on the lookout for new stuff. But we actually found an app that we do all of our quoting on, which has been fantastic. And we work really closely with our suppliers, so we're able to get price lists from them, and we just plug everything in. So we're able to get a quote really easily.
Wow.
Google Calendar has been a lifesaver.
Yep.
We've tried different things. We've looked at different programs, and it's almost, ideally what I would like is something that every time we text or every time we email, it would automatically go into a file for me for that job specifically. But things I've tried, there's nothing in one spot that does everything. So we kind of have to implement a little bit from different programs. Google Calendar has worked really well because I can put notes in the calendar, and with job numbers, timesheets, we just use basic Excel, but we have everybody set up with an iPad, and they have notes and they can take pictures, and we can keep everything as organized as possible that way. That's been the main thing, is just apps.
What app in particular is the invoicing one? Because I know of a couple, like Jobber is a good one.
Yeah, this one, I think it actually might be Jobber. When I first found it, it was called Joist, but it's changed now. And I don't have it on my phone, so I can't even look it up for you. But
That's fine.
It might be Jobber now. It did change, but it's been fantastic. It made a huge difference for the amount of time they were spending doing quotes.
Definitely. That it's so handy for small businesses to have these tools. One thing that came to mind was a company called Field Chat that's relatively new to the market, but they offer the text, email, phone call solution that stores all of those conversations into one place.
Oh, that would be ideal.
Yeah, so I've been chatting with them recently, and I'm going to be getting a product demo somewhat soon. But that's a cool thing to check out for yourself or anybody else that's looking to create job files, and every communication that is specific to that specific job file gets run through Field Chat. So check it out. The next thing I wanted to ask you was, where do you think the industry needs to change right now? From your perspective, you guys are running a small shop, tight-knit group, but all of us are in construction, and there's definitely some hurdles in the industry. Where do you guys find those hurdles are right now?
Honestly, I think it's just educating the general public. That's where we run into our biggest issues, is I don't think people understand the value of an actual service. And it's easy to sell somebody a product and they get something tangible in their hands and they don't mind paying for that. But when you're offering a service, they see that you're there for 2 hours, but they don't see the material that you've used. They don't see all the licenses that you need to have, the permits. So people are just not understanding. They're thinking, I'll hire somebody to come here. We'll give them a quote. This is how much it costs, but they can get their buddy Al down the street to come in and do it. Then their house burns down. So,
$50 pot light signs that you see staked on the side of the highway in Toronto.
Yes, exactly. So it just makes us a little nervous, and we try to be as open and transparent as possible when it comes to that kind of stuff, because we're not, obviously we're a business, we need to make a profit, but we're not in the business of ripping people off. We are at the point in this business, which might not be the best business decision, but it's our personal belief, is we're in the long term. We're not looking just short term. So we're not going to ruin our reputation by gouging people. We could, because of how much demand there is right now, but we are looking at, one day the new builds are going to stop. One day the renovations aren't going to be as happening. We still want that little old lady to call us to change her van because she knows that we're a trustworthy company. So we're looking more long-term instead of short-term, and it might be hurting us a little bit when it comes to profit, but we're building that reputation and we're trying to establish our name. And to me, brand is very important, because that's another thing you don't really see in these smaller trades. I want us to be so uniform that you can recognize us anywhere. Like our hashtag Get Wired. It's fun to see people just re-tagging that, and my little grandma, hashtag Get Wired on everything she posts. So it's just something that's part of our culture, our business culture as well. So I just wish I could educate people a little bit better with the value of services. And that's not just our service. I see that in every service industry. I go get my hair done and I see how much they have to buy just to be able to service that, and how much they charge. You kind of see they're not making a huge amount there, and you appreciate it. And I come from a different perspective, maybe because I always have been involved in business, so I am able to see that, but the general public don't necessarily understand. I'm kind of that interpreter between Tanya and Matt and their electrical jargon and talking to the regular person, because they use all their terms and all their different ways of talking that aren't necessarily transparent to the regular person. So I'm that in-between person who's able to explain it in normal words of what they're doing. Once that happens, people are usually fine, but that would be something, like, permits are important for a reason. You want to make sure you're getting a licensed electrician to do your work. So I think that's something that needs to change. That's really the only thing we ever run into. And people scheduling, renovations take a while. So if you know you want to put pot lights in, give us a call maybe a month or so ahead, not say tomorrow.
Yeah, no, definitely. It all sounds way too familiar for me. But one person that anybody listening or yourself could check out on Instagram is a guy that I interviewed named Sandro Stefanucci from Abstract Homes. Mm-hmm. And what they've done to try and curb the learning process for their clients is they videotape every single process that they put into a home, and as to why other people may cut corners there, and the costs that are associated with it, so that you can see, for example, putting crushed rock around around your drain tile and how much you need, and as to why somebody may not do that. Yes, the building code says you can go right up to it with dirt, but is that native soil going to clog in 5 years and things like that? So I think, it's tough because I've heard a lot about trying to regulate this, and you have the Ontario Builders Associations such as Build, and you have Renomark and all of these things that are trying. And unfortunately, the message isn't getting out to the homeowners. It's getting more to the contractors to build ethically, and that doesn't translate down. And I think it's going to be a combined effort of companies to come together and individually tell the homeowner or whoever is buying the service from them, this is what it takes on the back end. When I get in at 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning to the office, here's what goes into just booking that one call or changing that one light, or here's the permitting that we have to go through and why, and here's why we carry those licenses. And I think that video content goes a long way, and it's tough to share it with some of the older folks, but I think now in an age of social media, it's a lot easier to get that out there than to record a commercial or buy a billboard like some of these larger companies do.
I completely agree, and I actually really enjoyed that podcast because his line of thought is very similar to my own. We try to do videos. We use Instagram, we use Facebook. We don't have a huge following or anything, but we do get a lot of feedback that people appreciate that kind of stuff. The problem is we're getting so busy that even me being able to do a lot more and get to site and videotape them, I'm even having a hard time getting out there to see them. So we do need to implement that a lot more. And I can definitely see how that would help with that.
Yeah, definitely. What's your favorite story from construction? I know that you don't have a construction background, which is totally okay, but construction is full of shenanigans. And for anybody listening that is not in construction, it can be a fairly rowdy place to be, and it's fun. And there's I was experiencing it today on site myself. So what's the best story or the most fun or any construction story that you have from your career so far in construction?
So far for me, I think it sounds so bad, but I love correcting people when they assume that Tanya is a man. I get such a kick out of that. No, she's not Tony, it's Tanya. So that's always fun. And then looking back at Matt, our partner now, how mean we were to him when he was an apprentice. And the things we made him do, I can't believe we actually did that to him. Like, we did a women's show, and we were trying to think of something interesting because it's hard to make electrical interesting. So we had him give out our business. Well, first we made him dress up in a tux, and then we made him give out our business cards with a Hershey kiss and tell people he's giving them an electric kiss.
Oh man.
It was so cheesy, but it was so fun. And the poor guy, he's not a very outgoing person. He's a very quiet guy. So this was so out of his comfort zone, but it just showed you how bad he wanted his apprenticeship and how bad he wanted to be done. So that was fun. But yeah, there's been all kinds of things that I don't actually get to see. I get to hear about just because I don't get to go to site very often. But yeah, they're always joking around and, like I said, pranking me sometimes. So one time we had one of our apprentices say he cut his finger. And so I was like, oh, he's getting me going. So I'm like, oh, well, come to the office and I'll get my sewing kit out and I'll sew it up for you. And he's like, oh, okay. That's how much he trusted me. He said okay to that. But no, he was just getting me going. And just things like that. We've kind of built that relationship with everybody that we work with, that they do trust us, it's really nice, actually.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, it sounds like a great place to work. And again, there is opportunities there. If anybody is licensed, knows how to correctly wire pot lights and splice boxes and make things look neat behind the walls, something that I used to be a stickler for and I was super anal about. But I know that it's tough. I know that it requires a specific finesse. And those people listening that are in that line of electrical know what I'm talking about. And if you're interested, we will be posting all of your contact information on toolspodcast.com, so anybody can reach out, whether they want more electrical work done and to put it on your plate, or whether they're interested or they just want to chat. I will link to everything for anybody that's interested. And Natasha, thanks so much for spending 10-15 minutes with me here to get your insight into the industry. Is there anything else that you want to leave behind for people to think about, or anything that's on your mind?
First of all, I want to say thank you for letting us do this. It's been a lot of fun. And it was nice meeting you as well. We're just kind of excited about what's happening in the future. Like, we're doing a lot of fun stuff with smart homes and the cool technology that's coming out. We're really keeping on top of things, and we're hoping to share that with everybody.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks again. And this will be at toolspodcast.com. Everybody listening can check it out. And if you have any recommendations for any other guests or any other questions that you'd like to hear from specific people in the industry, feel free to give me a shout. And Natasha, thanks again.
Thank you, Colin. Stay safe and healthy.
Yeah, you too.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap, everybody.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Tools of the Trade podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. For show notes, blog posts, resources, and access to our newsletter, check out toolspodcast.com.